howdy. Back in the shooter's kitchen again. This time I'm making a blueberry pudding originally made by the Plains Indians, my Apache ancestors included. They either use choke cherries or blueberries. And even the blueberries, 3 pounds takes a few cups of, like 3-4 cups of sugar. Choke cherries would take a lot more than that, and they call them that for a very good reason. They're so sour you could preserve meat with them things. So anyway, over here we got a common Dutch oven with 4 cups of water and 3 pounds of blueberries. Got turned about 3/4 of the way up. And we gotta get those up to a boil and turn down to a simmer and let them simmer until the berries pop and start getting mushy. We can get the juice out of them. And then we'll proceed to the next step. This goes real good with any kind of like pork, beef, turkey. My family loves it for Turkey Day. They insist every year that I make this. Okay, I turned the heat on this at 4:40 p.m. It is now, I don't know, it's a little over an hour later. It's just starting to steam. You can see the berries are starting to crinkle. You know, like when you've been out swimming in the pool too long and your fingers start wrinkling up. You look at this right here. That's the original level. It's gone down about 1.25 inches. So we will, yeah, it's still pretty thin. Let that cook to, the berries are wrinkling, but we need them to burst. That's very important. You need the berries to burst and release all their goodness. The juice is important. I'll show you why later.
Would nutmeg be like a small seasoning container, like a real small one?
I think got a new one, a bigger container of nutmeg.
Okay, this has been
Nutmeg, so
a couple hours
small or big.
simmering.
No, I think we bought it, about the size that they are, so it should be in there. So I had to do something with them now.
It seems like it's been
Ginger.
cooking pretty decent. You guys turned mine down instead of yours.
No, you looked at the wrong one.
No, I'm not. This one is
It's
the front.
Right, you said it
I
turned
had
down.
it turned down here, not up
Right,
there.
you told me turn it down to simmer about a half hour ago.
Oh darn it! I don't know. Was too low, and it's not really cooked the way I wanted it.
Put up to leave in the
They're
room.
kind of soft, but not really.
They're not done yet.
No.
The cranberries. I thought there was a lot that you wanted to turn.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's good. Misunderstood.
I know what I need to see. You know, like that.
Yeah, I know what you're looking for. It's like cranberries, so
Yeah, like cranberries, exactly.
just put it back up.
Okay, we gotta let it simmer a little more.
Got some free time?
You gotta let the blueberries simmer a little more to where they burst and give up their juice. That's important.
We have some free time.
Okay, we got the boiled blueberries separated from the juice. We now have to mix it. It's about 1.5 cups of flour. And 1.5 cups of flour, and then we gotta mash it. basically gotta make a floury mash out of the berries and hope you've got enough flour in it to mix the juice back in and cook it into a pudding. This is what the Plains Indians did for hundreds of years. This recipe came from the Frugal Gourmet Cooks American. Frugal Gourmet used to be on TV, and he did Cooks American, Cooks Italian, and he actually traveled to different countries and around our country to get recipes from people down south, people up north in New England and out west and all of that. All the different areas of our country and Italy and all that, and to get the actual recipes so that you knew how a recipe evolved into what it is. This is basically where you're making the pudding. You want to get the consistency of a pudding with the berries and the flour here. Okay. This is another one of those patience things. Even with a masher that's got smaller slots in it like this one, you still get whole berries that'll come out and not be mashed. It's surprisingly difficult making it the way the American Indians did to get this blueberry pudding to come out the way it's supposed to. And this is what you do with about 3 pounds of blueberries. I don't know where to put the juice. Let me look at this. 3 cups of sugar with the juices. Get all this over here so we can work with it. Okay, so that's 3 cups of sugar. According to how I've modified the Frugal Gourmet's recipe here. Basically, like making jam the old-fashioned way. Except you're adding flour to thicken it. Okay. Basically taking the juices you separate in here and mixing it with the sugar. You stir it into the berry and flour mixture, and you cook it until it thickens. Pour it in a bowl and let it cool until it's basically not hot anymore. And you put it in the refrigerator overnight to where it continues to thicken. Now you can see here with the juices I've got that it's making a thick syrup. I'm gonna nitpick this. The more you nitpick this, the sugar and juice mixture and the berries and flour mixture, the better overall it winds up. Surprising that cooled down, the juices cooled down as quick as they did. The berries, having more substance, stay hotter. Kind of like boiled potatoes. It's surprising how much even a little bit of boiled potato holds all that heat. Like a drop of coffee. Okay, let me just wanted to see if I could rinse the masher and the juice out of curiosity. Use the masher to stir the sugar and juices so I can get the some of the flour and berry mash off the masher itself to mix in. There. You can see the shape of the masher there, so you can tell that I've rinsed it fairly well. Okay. Bring that over here. And we'll just dump that in there. And then we shall proceed to stir it as well as can be done and get it on the stove and cook it to where we can cook the two together and thicken it up basically. And this is how the Plains Indians, my Apache ancestors included, made pudding from choke cherries or blueberries. Pretty obvious blueberries were preferred because choke cherries to make cherry pudding would be nice, but you had to, choke cherries are so bitter sour that it would take a ton of, probably take the family's entire honey stash to sweeten it and thus thicken it with a little flour. So you're basically making jam, but since it's pudding rather than jam, you can cheat a little bit and use flour. Okay. Scrape down the sides of there. So this last part of the recipe, you're basically trying to get the sugar juices and the floured berries to mix and thicken. So right here, what I'm basically trying to do is mix the two together as well as can be had before I heat it up and boil and stir to finish it basically. So you can readily see here that even the first Thanksgiving took a lot of work. The hours and hours of baking and cooking and prepping and things like that to get everything ready. You have to understand that a feast, especially in colonial times or even the 19th century, you're using fire in a fireplace or whatever, where an open fire where you had the triangular iron rods and stuff to support a Dutch oven from over a fire to cook things and everything. Dutch ovens with cast iron Dutch ovens with legs on them, so you could have so many coals on top and so many underneath to make bread or biscuits and things like that. And they even had a wind up thing. It's with a spring, like a clock spring and everything. You wind it up and put it was rigged to a spit with a fan belt, so that it would turn slowly to roast the turkey or a goose or whatever, and cook the meat basically. I have a recipe for slack cranberries in a cast iron pan where what was it? George Washington went to visit John Adams, and he had a fine goose roasting over the fire in the fireplace, and he had slack cranberries in a pan to put over it for supper. So it basically, he made it like a cranberry sauce to go over a roast goose. That actually sounds pretty darn good. Four brothers knew how to eat, that's pretty good. Okay. Oh, I just knew I was going to do that. I can't move without my camera. Okay. Now we gotta get this. We got them all mixed together again. We gotta put it back on the heat and cook it and to where it melts the sugar and all that and thickens and that sort of thing. Okay, here we have it back on the heat on the stove. Trying to heat it up again to where it will where we can get it to boil and melt the sugars and the flours and stuff together and stirring and so it thickens up real nice. We can pour it into a cold bowl to let it thicken up and be ready for the meal, that is.